Hello everybody, welcome back to Core Balance. Today we're doing a Mother's Day class. So if you wanted to do this with your mom or send her the link so that she can do it, go right on ahead. The more the merrier. We're going to start lying on our stomach, head turned to one side, doesn't matter which, either turn to the right or the left, just melting into the floor. Letting go of that tension, focusing on the breath, and just settling into class today. Breathing in and letting go of that breath. Finding that steady breath, maybe counting through the inhale and counting the same on the exhale. We really just want to ease into the class today. Taking it easy. It's Mother's Day weekend. If you'd like, go ahead and switch the direction that your head is turned. Just being mindful of the neck and only doing what feels right to you. Continuing to breathe. Deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Keeping that inhale and exhale even. Letting go of the tension in the hands, unclenching your jaw, uncurl those toes wherever you're holding on to any tension or stress. Just try to let it melt away, just for a moment. Good. Go ahead and rise up and send it back into a child's pose, stretching those hands nice and far out in front of your body, walking those fingertips away. Sending it back through the hips. Relaxing the head, forehead down to the mat. Continue to breathe. Rising up onto all fours, and then however you want to get there, we're going to come back to a seated position here. Bringing the soles of the feet together and pulling them in toward your body to wherever is comfortable. Drawing those knees down to the mat, we're going to sit up nice and tall, straightening that spine, pulling those shoulder blades together, maybe rolling out the neck a time or two if you'd need. And just try to find that sweet spot. And once you're there, in a comfortable position, we're going to lean forward, sending it forward, forehead down toward the feet. Cobbler's pose. And as you inhale, come up slightly, and on that exhale, try to sink in just a little bit farther, really feeling that stretch through the insides of our legs here. And on your next big inhale, rising all the way up, rolling out that neck. And once more, breathing in, and on the exhale, sending it forward. A little farther this time if you can. Big breath in, rising up, rolling those shoulders back, and send those feet out in front of you. We're going to recline back here. Feeling that spine melting into the mat, and lift those legs up toward the ceiling. Pointing and flexing the feet, stretching out those hamstrings, warming up the legs, and also stimulating that blood flow to go the opposite direction that it normally does. Just at your own pace, pointing and flexing the feet. And when you're ready, bring those knees down toward the body And we're going to roll up slightly to find that sweet spot, that flat spot where your pelvis and your tailbone meets, getting our balance. And when you find that balance, we're going to tuck the hands up under the legs, bringing the palms together in a modified boat. Once you feel like you're stable and you have that balance, go ahead and release those hands, sending them out to the side in a half boat pose, tightening that core. And once you start to feel that shake, bringing those hands up underneath again, palms together, keeping that balance. Hands out to the side, locking in that core, staying strong. And again, hands up underneath. A little working break here. Hands back out to the side last time, and slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Great job. Walk those feet in toward your backside, feeling that lower back pressing gently and comfortably down into the mat. Starting to walk those shoulder blades in toward the middle. And when you're ready, lifting that pelvis all the way up toward the ceiling. The half bridge. Staying lifted and continuing to breathe here. And on your next exhale, lower that pelvis back down toward the mat. Big inhale as we lift back up toward the ceiling when you're ready. Continuing to breathe as we hold the pose. And on your next big exhale, lowering back down toward the mat, just at your own pace. Relaxing that spine, melting into the ground. Big inhale, lift a little farther this time, but being mindful of the neck, keeping a gentle space between our neck and the floor. Continuing to breathe as we hold this pose, feeling that stretch across our abdomen, back through our glutes, and exhale, lowering down to the mat. Hug those knees in toward the body, maybe rock side to side, giving yourself a gentle little back massage. And from here, we're going to extend one leg out in front of us, keeping the other pulled in toward our body, feeling that stretch, and extend that leg up into the air, slowly lowering it down at your own pace, down to the mat. Opposite leg hugs into the body, pulling that knee in toward us. And then that leg extends up toward the sky and slowly lowers down to the mat. Once more, that first leg hugs in toward the body. Feeling a deep stretch through our hips, extending the leg up toward the sky and slowly lowering it down to the mat. An opposite leg hugs in toward the body. Stretches up toward the sky and carefully lowers back down to the mat. Bring both legs in this time, meeting the soles of the feet together, and then carefully setting the feet and the legs down. Go ahead and bring those hands up overhead, extending all the way past the crown of our head here in a reclined cobbler's pose. From here, we're just letting gravity do the work, drawing those knees down toward the mat, Arms stretched out overhead, elongating that spine. And all the while, we're continuing to breathe. Full inhales and complete exhales. Counting that breath if you have to. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Gently release, bringing those knees back in toward the body, giving ourselves a little back massage once more, rocking side to side. And then when you're ready, we're going to rock back and forth and gradually build up some momentum, eventually coming up to a standing. Now that we're in a standing, we're going to come up to the top of our mat and just, again, find that breath. Maybe bring the hands to the diaphragm and the stomach, dropping those shoulders, releasing that tension in the neck. And from here, I'd like you to put your hands on your hips. We're going to do a little bit of a superhero power pose. Since it's the Mother's Day class, I figured I would throw this in because all of you moms out there are superheroes. Everything you do, you're incredible. You work so hard, and we appreciate you so much. Go ahead and breathe all the way up, bringing the hands up overhead and hands down to heart center on that exhale. Breathing in, hands come up, and exhale, hands at heart center. Once more, breathing in all the way up, and on that exhale, hands down at heart center. Breathe in and up. This time, forward fold as we exhale, hands coming down toward the mat. Take it side to side. Warm up those hamstrings a little, stretch out that back. Breathing in, halfway lift, keeping a flat back, strong core. And when you're ready, pick a leg and send it back. We're going to step into a lunge here. Making sure that we're balanced. Feet are staggered so we're not standing on a tightrope. And when you are ready, lifting through the core, hands up overhead in a crescent lunge. Continuing to breathe as we hold this pose, and on your next big exhale, sending it forward, straightening that front knee, and bringing the hands down toward the mat. Go ahead and kind of bounce that back leg a couple times, feeling that stretch through the front leg. Eventually bringing that back leg to meet at the front, standing at the front of the mat. Grab a hold of the elbows, do a little rocking forward fold here. Still trying to find that flexibility this morning or this afternoon, whenever you're doing this class. Breathing in, halfway lift. And on that exhale, we're going to come all the way up, rounding those shoulders back into our superhero mom pose. Feeling strong, maybe rolling out the neck. This time breathing in and up. And on that exhale, hands down at heart center. A few more times here at your own pace. Breathing in and up. Exhale, hands at heart center. And swan dive forward fold. Hands down toward the mat. Coming up halfway, inhale. And stepping back into that lunge, opposite leg this time. Staggering the feet, finding that strong base, and lifting into that crescent lunge when you're ready. Holding here, but continuing to breathe. When you're ready, carefully and with control, sending it forward, straightening that front knee, and bouncing on that back leg to warm up all those joints in our front leg. stepping the back leg up to meet the front in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, forward fold. On that next big inhale, rounding all the way up, shoulders come back. And cycling through that breath once more, breathing in and up, swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, stepping back into the lunge. First leg that we started with goes back, and just at your own pace, coming up into that crescent lunge. And exhale, sending it forward, straightening that front leg. Bouncing that back leg a couple of times, eventually bringing it forward to meet at the top of the mat. And inhale, lifting all the way up. Cycling right back into it, breathing in and up. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to lunge. Inhale, lift to crescent lunge. And exhale, sending it forward. Just keeping your own pace, following your own breath. Bouncing that back leg a couple of times, and eventually bringing it forward so that we stand in a forward fold. Inhale, lift, halfway up, and exhale, dropping down, rolling up on that inhale. From here, we're going to come to the middle of our mat, wide leg, forward fold, pulling our body in toward our legs, trying to look past our legs up at the ceiling behind us. Inhale, lift and drop that seat into a goddess pose. It's like a wide-legged chair pose here. Inhale as we extend our arms out to the side, volcano. And as we inhale, lifting all the way up and sweeping the hands to the sides, sunflower. Widening that stance just a bit, sending it out to one side in a forward thigh lunge, hovering over that front thigh. And when you're ready, pivoting open to a side lunge. Inhale, lifting all the way up, back up to the top, and exhale, forward fold. Pulling that body in toward the legs, looking back behind us. When you're ready, lifting up into goddess pose, settling back, all that weight drives into our heels. Opening up to volcano, hands out to the side. And breathe in all the way up, sweeping those hands down to sunflower. Go ahead and open up to the other side this time. Lifting into that forward thigh lunge. Staying strong through our base. And when you're ready, opening up to that side lunge, resting that lower arm down on top of the thigh. Inhale, lift, and exhale, forward fold. Continuing to breathe here. And slowly heel toe the feet toward the center of the mat, rolling up one vertebra at a time. From here, we're going to pick which leg that we want to start with, driving it down, finding that balance, and lifting up into tree. You can either lift your foot to your ankle, your calf, or bringing it all the way up to the thigh, past the knee. Finding that balance. And when you're ready, sending that tree all the way up toward the sky and blossoming open when you're ready. Continuing to breathe, gently dropping out of the pose, lowering that foot. Find your breath. Shake it out if you need. And when you're ready, opposite foot lifts either to the ankle, the calf, or up to the inner thigh. Pressing those hands together, giving yourself that sense of balance. When you're ready, sending that sprout up toward the sky. And blossoming open when you're ready, at your own pace. Dropping out of the pose carefully, and back to a standing. Shake it out. From here, extending back out to that wide-legged position. Breathing all the way in and up. Swan diving forward in that wide-legged fold. Drawing our body in toward our legs here. Inhale, slowly rise one vertebra at a time, breathing in all the way up and lowering down into that goddess pose this time. Opening into that volcano, hands out to the side. Inhale, lift, and sweeping the hands down, sunflower. Widening that stance, just as before. Inhale, lift, and this time sending it over to that side lunge. And rotating into that forward thigh lunge. Hovering that body over that front thigh. Inhale, lift and lower, sweeping the hands down to the mat. Pulling the body in toward the legs. And inhale, lifting slowly one vertebra at a time. Right back into it, breathing all the way up, hands up overhead, and down into that goddess pose. Inhale, open up to volcano, driving that weight back into our backside, back into our heels. Inhale, lift, sunflower, sweeping those hands back down to the mat. Inhale, lift one more time, and send it over to the opposite side, side lunge. Inhale, lift, and rotating through to that forward thigh lunge. Inhale, lift and lower, sweeping the hands down to the mat, back to that center. Driving the body in toward the legs, and when you're ready, rising with your inhale. Once more, breathing all the way up, settling into goddess. Opening up into volcano. And for the last time, sweeping our hands up, bringing the hands to rest at heart center. Transitioning to the top of our mat, we're going to blend those flows together, standing in that superhero mom pose, finding that breath, lifting the chest and dropping the shoulders. Inhale, lift, hands come up toward the sky, forward fold. Stepping it back into that lunge. Lift to a crescent lunge. Sending it forward, thigh lunge. Rotating open to side lunge. And cycling those hands down to the center in that wide-legged fold. Rising up slowly with that inhale, breathing all the way in and up. Lowering down to goddess. Inhale, lift and open to volcano. Hands all the way up, lowering with those sunflowers. Taking it from one side to the other, just opening up those hips a little bit more. And heel toe toward the center of your mat. Rising up little by little, rolling the shoulders back. Jumping right into tree. Finding that center of gravity, that balance. And when you're ready, sprout up toward the sky, blossoming open at your own pace. Gently lower and back to the top of the mat. Shake it out if you need to. Back into that mom pose, superhero pose. Finding that breath. Lowering the shoulders. And when you're ready, inhale, lift. Swan dive forward. Opposite leg this time, stepping back into that lunge. And lifting into that crescent lunge. Bringing it forward, finding that balance in that thigh lunge. And when you're ready, pivot open to the side. Cycling those hands down to that wide-legged fold. Drawing the body in toward the legs, looking past the legs, up at the ceiling behind you. And when you're ready, inhale, slowly rise. Once more, inhale all the way in, settling down to that goddess pose. Opening up into that volcano pose. Inhale, lift and sweeping the hands down toward the mat, drawing in toward the legs. Heel toe the feet together. And slowly rise to a standing. To the opposite side this time, planting that base foot, lifting to your desired position. Hands at heart center. And when you've got that balance, sprouting the tree up toward the sky and blossoming open. Carefully lowering ourselves out of the position. And come back to the top of the mat. Breathing in all the way up. Swan dive forward. And this time, stepping both feet back into a plank. And from that plank, when you're ready, lifting the tailbone up toward the sky, pushing away from the hands into a downward dog. Pumping out the heels, lifting that tailbone, and drawing those shoulder blades in toward one another, pushing away from the mat. Continue to pedal out those heels as needed, just letting the head dangle between the shoulders. From downward dog coming into plank, and gently, carefully lowering all the way down to the mat, and lifting to either an upward dog, or what I prefer today is to rest on the forearms in a sphinx. Chest is lifted, chin is parallel to the mat. And when you're ready, sending it back to a child's pose. Settling in between the hips, arms stretched out past our head, fingertips walking just a little bit farther. And relax. Finding that soothing breath. Full inhale in, complete exhale out. Breathing in and out. However you'd like to get there, we're going to bring it back into a cross-legged seated position here. Hands resting in the lap. Roll out that neck a few times if you need. Just being mindful of any tightness that you've got. Raising one of your knees up toward the sky, go ahead and gently lift that foot and rest it in the crook of your elbow. Holding it like a baby here. Feeling that stretch through our glute and through our hip. Sitting up nice and tall, rocking the baby from side to side. Continuing to breathe. Sitting up nice and tall. And carefully lay that baby back down on the mat. Switching legs. We're going to bring the other knee up toward the sky, resting the arch of our foot in the crook of our elbow, cradling that baby, rocking it from side to side. Relax those shoulders, let the shoulders drop away from the ears. There's no tension here, just a gentle rocking from one side to the other. And carefully releasing. Back to that first leg, knee lifts toward the ceiling, resting the arch of the foot against the crook of your elbow. Rocking the baby side to side. Continue to breathe. And lay that baby down for a nap. And pick up the other one, bringing the foot in toward the crook of the elbow. Feeling that stretch through our hip, through our glute. Keeping a strong core as we sit up nice and tall, rocking from one side to the other. Laying that baby down for a nap. Now it's your turn to just relax. Roll those shoulders back, sit up nice and tall, and find that breath. Bringing the hands out to the sides, breathing all the way in and up. And on that exhale, bringing the hands down to heart center. Working in the opposite direction, lifting from heart center, and exhale, hands down to the sides. Inhale, lift up and over. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale as we lift, and exhale, hands back down to the sides. Once more, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And from here, just resting, hands at heart center, sending those positive vibes out to all those moms. Have a happy Mother's Day, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.